they've got these are multiple things or something. Most of these are 20, so that's why they say there's multiple things. It's among the street. Yeah. You can get close to the triangular logo on the screen. Also got remember Tico, the old Valley Metro logo. It was a logo or something. Well, it shows up around. Oh, okay. T-shirt. So there's only one line I'm not going to make. Somebody else did that for you.
Hey. Ready. Bill, can you do some talking?
I can do some talking. I can say some random things. I can say test 22. Or I can just call my normal list. I can call my test 22. I can keep rambling as long as enough to figure out what we need to be. And I can maybe say some of the substance stuff.
That's probably good.
But how are the levels good?
Just trying to see if.
I like to share it with you.
Wow, it's like.
Flashing from you.
You can hear you, but it's very quiet.
The mute light is flashing. Is that what you
It's definitely. No, I think it's okay.
Oh, you push it in, that's all.
Let me check with my cams at least. So I'll get it right.
Big is our technology. Yeah. Watch it live on YouTube and it's out there.
Hmm.
You know what I can watch on you? You know I get lost on
Try the.
Sorry, I'll flip off on you.
Can you try that mute button?
That's what we're saying, it's flashing, and now it's solid red. I think both of those things would be fine to,
Plug it and
now
unplug it.
it's off.
Yeah, I just unplugged it. Some.
Have you tried turning it off and back on again? Now it's like solid. Now it's flashing. Off, on, off, on. Random words, same things.
Okay.
Tapping my pen on the table. Getting lost. Getting.
Okay.
We're not broadcasting it now.
Yes.
Oh, great.
I can cut it. Fix it in post.
Once it's up the verse, I'll bring it all back. Do I need to keep running still while you're doing this?
Sure.
Sure. There's on your YouTube. To allow me to.
Okay. Those are good.
Throw you off tape if I did this. It's like, I don't know, the sound just went way down all of a sudden. It's not working. I would scream to make up for that, but I don't want to start over else. All right, we good? All right. Probably. If not, it's not the end of the world.
That's solid. Did we make it Summit or
It just kind of changes its mind from time to time. So when the red light is on mute, is the red light the off light?
I'm not sure.
Off meaning not mute, is it like a double negative type of thing?
It is a bit confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, because it was flashing before.
And red usually means recording.
Right.
Maybe it's when it detects sound.
Well, maybe the red light has nothing to do with the mute that just happens to be next to it.
That's a very real possibility.
I don't know. Isn't that Suzanne's microphone?
What?
What?
Valley Metro owns it, they let us use it because they're very nice. And we like that.
Do they know where you're going?
Oh no, it sounds good.
Don't ask these questions.
Oh, not on the record. All right.
Ready.
Are we ready?
Yeah, I think we should start.
Okay, everybody, thank you for coming today for our public meeting. We're running, apologize for the delay. We'll mix up with Downtown Phoenix Inc. and the room schedule, but they got us in here and we're get going. I'll be a little late. Short agenda, so there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the background, so we won't need to get into a lot of detail here, so we'll kind of make it quick. I'll start the introductions. I'm Bill McComas. I am current president of Phoenix Spokespeople, almost daily bike commuter, just long-time bike rider. And I think we'll go right this time since Dave's running around.
So I'm Christina Sampson, and we went car-free in August, and I'm excited because on Thursday I just signed an offer letter for a job that's like a 15-minute bike ride from my house. So I am now a bike commuter as of next Thursday.
Excellent.
I'm Judd Sampson, and I also am a bike commuter. And yeah, like she said, we went carless, and we love our bikes.
I'm Suzanne Benny, I work for Valley Metro. Sadly, I am not car-free, but I've been a bicyclist for a long time, and I do the Valley Bike Month things for Valley Metro, so it's an awful lot of fun to support this group as well.
I'm Laura Sands. I am a board member at large, and I've been biking forever.
I'm Laura Dollar. I'm volunteer with the Rob Dollar Foundation.
I'm John Dollar. I'm president of the Rob Dollar Foundation. I don't cycle. It's one of the reasons we need to be with cyclists because I don't cycle, so just trying to get together with cyclists so we can help the community.
I'm John Walker. I'm a bike commuter. I work for the Department of Transportation. Not really doing bike stuff, but I love bike commuting. And I've been with PSP pretty much since we began, and I'm the treasurer. So.
I'm Marta Armida with the Rob Dollar Foundation. Board member. Sorry.
And John Hogan, another John here, with the Rob Dollar Foundation. I'm the vice president.
This is our John Rowe here.
Yeah, we have some more Johns on the board too.
I'm
Sean Sweat. I lead the Urban Phoenix Project. We're a group that focuses on making Central Phoenix a place where walking, biking, and transit are just as comfortable and convenient as driving.
And I am Dave Tapley. I am the vice president of Phoenix Spokespeople at this time. Also,
At this time.
and I
And also a wizard.
Yeah, fix little things.
Okay.
So, can I just do a quick?
Yes.
Just a quick IT announcement. We're streaming on YouTube, and if you're going to talk, the mic's range is you're probably okay. Yep, I think we'll probably be okay. You guys might, Suzanne, you're at, well, it's your mic, you know. I'll try and remind people if they drift off. I think that's it.
I'll do the real quick about PSP for our guests. We are a 501c3 as of, it's going to be 3 years in September?
Yeah, 2015.
Yep, 3 years in September. It'll be our third year as a legit nonprofit. We've been around since November 2011, correct? Working on these kind of things. We work on the advocacy side, so we go to the public meetings. We speak to the city and the departments about getting proper bike infrastructure where we can. We've spoken a lot with the budget hearings, asking for money to go to these things. Now that we've got T2050, we need to still go to those and make sure the money's going where it should within that spending. We also put on rides and activities to get people to ride their bikes out on the street and not just through their neighborhoods. Get people used to riding in a group, riding on the streets, riding with traffic, obeying traffic laws, and using a bicycle as a means of transportation, not just as something you do around the neighborhood for fun, but actually as a way to get to work, a way to go to school, a way to run your errands, a way to go to a friend's house, a way to go for a night out and use your bicycle instead of your car whenever you can. And hopefully we put on enough of these rides, enough people do this, we get a handful of them to help us on the advocacy side and really kind of help that park grow. But getting people out on bikes, so the more people are on bikes using infrastructure, the better it's going to work for everybody. So, anybody else on the board want to add more about what the PSP does? Okay.
It's an uphill battle, we do our best.
Yeah, and I think we're mostly focused on Central Phoenix, just because it's such a big city. But
Yeah, we're such a sprawling city in terms of square miles, and most of us live central cities, so that's where we focus our efforts. And
But we love to partner with groups all over.
yeah, we're definitely willing to reach out where we can. Which leads us to our next board item, resignation. So we did lose another board member this last week or so. Sherry resigned. So if somebody wants to kind of step up and help with membership fulfillment, we still need to work on bicycle benefits more. But it's been tough with our kind of short staffedness. So we can talk about it more offline through Slack if somebody wants to pick that up. We'll talk about it then.
I can say just there's already like 3 people I think who have paid, but no one's done the welcome pack with the t-shirts or anything. So
Oh dear, okay.
that's probably the most critical
So
thing.
you get those.
Yeah, that's gotta be rectified. Did we get the things back from Sherryville?
That would be the
No,
first item.
I'm going to get with her in the next week and
All right.
get the stuff out. I just haven't had a chance.
Because I have more of the PSP stickers, but I don't have the bicycle benefits stickers.
Okay. Yeah, no, I talked to her, so we're just going to schedule a time. I haven't had a chance the last couple of days since all this happened. Okay. So Rob Dollar Foundation is here. Good. Okay. Yeah, I met with Marta a couple of weeks ago and just they wanted to reach out more and get more involved in how they can help make bicycling safer. And they haven't done a lot of that. And you guys get a great following, it appears. I know you're right at South Mountain. How many people showed up for that?
1,100.
1,100.
They stopped counting 11.
Okay, so you've got some numbers, so we definitely want to work with you guys. So I'm going to let whomever from your group wants to speak, tell us about your group, tell us what you are
Well,
looking
brand new,
for.
I don't know if anyone knows, but the reason we started this is my son got killed in South Mountain. So he was talking about starting a foundation for awareness. He said, I'm seeing, he was an avid rider in California here. He loved to race, and he's seen people get hurt, people get killed, and I need to start something to help people. So we're trying to make a positive out of this negative because we have to. So, like I said, we are new. We struggle because we're not cyclists. John is his high school buddy, and the bottom line is we don't cycle. We do have some board members that do cycle. So the struggle there is I'm not a cyclist, so I'm just trying to get ideas from people that do cycle of what we can do for awareness. Like I said, we are just started our 501c. He is in the process of getting submitted, so hopefully we'll have that done, and by the end of April was what we're hoping. We're starting some safety classes for use. April 14th is going to be our first one. We're hooked up with Performance Bicycling. They're helping us, and we've already got one scheduled for the 14th, and we're hoping to do at least 2, 3, 4 a year if we can. Start there with the use and move on, The awareness part, we're thinking about doing some advertising. We're coming up with some type of phrases, maybe billboards, things like that, just to try to get it in people's mind that, watch out for these guys, It's not just a bicycle, it's someone else behind that thing. It's people just see bikes and, I don't know, that people do the motorists do a lot of stuff to cyclists for reasons, who knows? They throw things at them, they stop and, hit the gas, and put smoke all, the diesel trucks, and, who knows what they do on top of just, they just don't respect them. Because we started talking with some other groups about the culture. You go to the Colorado and Seattle, their culture is completely different. So how do you change the culture here? How do you change the culture everywhere? That's a question I don't have an answer for, but that's the long-term goal, would change the culture where, it's different. You don't have that kind of stuff over there in these other places that have a more rider-friendly culture than here. So I don't know. So like I said, we're new. Again, I know Marta hooked up with you guys, and like I said, since we are new, we want to hook up with as many people as we can, because down the road we want to things to change with, you know, the law does not protect cyclists. I mean, let's be honest. It doesn't really make much sense, but there's been other groups that have tried to change it, but the bottom line is, for I guess to change the law, we're gonna have to have everyone come together. All these, you know, different foundations and stuff come together and try to push some of the laws where, you know, make people responsible for.
And there's laws
stuff
on the
that they
books
do.
too that just simply aren't enforced. Yeah, there's a 3-foot law in Arizona that's not enforced. I mean, you talk to police officers, they don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
That's the cultural aspect of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, you know, a cyclist can claim the lane if it's appropriate, and a lot of police don't realize that and always tell cyclists to get over.
get out of the way.
Even though
Right.
if in the right circumstance they're allowed to take the lane.
Yeah, 'cause I got hit a couple of years ago, and I called PD, and they came out, and the officer was telling me all the things I did wrong, and I said, no, look it up, 28-818, and he looked up, and he was, and he started out real aggressive and real kind of almost in my face at first, and then once he calmed down, and we actually got having a good conversation, we went through the law step by step, and he actually said at the end of it, well, I learned something today. It's like, you shouldn't be learning it from me.
It would be nice to have that question in for, you know, when you get your driver's license. Just
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
that needs to be in there.
Then make
How
sure
many
that that's
feet do
part
you?
of the driver's
How many
license.
feet do you? Yeah. How many feet do you give cyclists?
And there's been talk about that before, and I can't remember who, somebody, we talked about it before, I can't remember what organization or who it was, but
I mean, that's something I think we would look into, you know, as we move forward down the road to try to get that input, because, you know, right then and there, the young people, how many feet do you know, you gotta give them 3 feet.
at least
Yeah, and we just learned too, it's not 3 feet from the bike lane, it's 3 feet from the
bicycle,
cyclist.
right.
From the cycle.
Because, you know, the bottom line is, you got the cycle lane and all the junk's on the right-hand side. I mean, that's just how it goes. So you don't ride on the right-hand side because you're gonna have
Yeah,
flats
you-
and,
And the cycle lane is usually, except for the 20 feet or 50 feet before an intersection, is people parking it. So you're outside of that, so there's a designated bike lane with cars or not.
Yeah.
And you're doing this down the right-hand side of the road. It's how I come down Oak Street every day.
every day like that.
And then, yeah, and God forbid someone wants to take a right turn at a light and you're waiting at the curb there. I've nearly been clipped half a dozen times just from
Yeah.
people not wanting, right on red. Just cut right off.
Especially on big trucks and things like that, that can be very dangerous.
I was trying to get that eye contact with the driver next to me there, but
Try to get in front of him a little bit, as I usually do too.
yeah.
And he's wearing a surveyor's vest too.
Yeah, I've
It's
got
not like,
a
It's
bright
not like
lime
you're- it's
green
not like you're
surveyor's
hiding, yeah.
vest and a helmet and lights front and back day and night.
Yeah, I run 2 strobes day or night minimum, and
Nobody cares.
I think our focus has mostly been on getting the city of Phoenix to change the infrastructure, and I think we've had some success. And in the coming years, they're going to be making some very good infrastructure changes and adding in protected bike lanes. And because of the money that's coming in from this new tax, T2050, the transportation tax, now it's just a matter of getting them to spend the money properly. I don't think we've talked about this before about trying to focus on education, but I think our organization we've just determined is a little too small to really
Right.
make a huge impact, and so we focus more on lobbying the city at this point, and not the
Advocating.
state.
No,
Advocate.
we don't
Thank
lobby.
you. Thank you. We don't lobby.
C3s can lobby.
Anyway, so asking the city to do that, and that's other conversations we've had is, hey, should we go to the state legislature to try to ask for different laws? And we've really not gone in that direction as much either, again, because of our size, and we've tried to focus just on the central city to try to get some change. But it sounds like you guys might have aspirations to do that, and that
Yeah.
would be,
We do.
definitely support you.
Yeah, we do have some big aspirations to do that, you know, once we get going, and hopefully we can get some good corporate sponsorship. And I think the law, like you said, the legislation, we're gonna have to have not just us do that. We're
Right.
gonna have to have other people come together. And we will try to do that, you know, down the road, of course.
You know,
does your group have a legislative liaison? Does this group have a legislative liaison?
No.
Is there any, because that.
We don't, like I said, we just started, we got the corporation
we're
and,
basically
3 months into
3
this
months in.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're brand.
Yeah.
No, I just happen to be really politically active, and I know
Yeah.
that generally the nonprofits who have like a person appointed to be the legislative liaison, so like they come to meetings, they would make notes, and then because if you go
We
to
should
like
need that.
if you go to the legislative district meetings, they usually have at least one of the state reps there to give the update or whatever. And if you say I'm the legislative liaison for Phoenix spokespeople for the Rob Dollar
Yeah.
Foundation, you get a little bit more response.
That's
And
a
so,
really good point.
That is, yeah.
And it's just words, but when you say, I'm the legislative liaison.
it also helps move things forward because you have like just the one person, and sometimes obviously there's a subcommittee. Like if and what's nice about that is in a lot of groups it rotates. So like if there's someone who knows a lot about whatever kind of law, they can be on the subcommittee, but only for that one thing, right?
Yeah.
And then if the focus shifts to something else, then you just call in another volunteer, and then you don't worry about like the people not showing up to meetings and stuff because they're only working on the one thing, and when they're done, they're done, and then they can never show up to another subcommittee again, and it's fine.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Speaking of subcommittees,
Before I forget,
Yeah.
if you want one actionable thing, there is the Citizens Transportation Commission, which is to ensure accountability. Transportation 2050 requires a 15-member Citizens Transportation Committee. Blah 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 blah. It's kind of regular people. I intend to go to my first one this Thursday, March 29th. Apparently, they're just open to the public, but they comprise of 15 supposedly elected general people. Appointed, sorry.
So have these 15 people been appointed already?
Is
Yeah.
the city
Yeah, these are
council-
When Tempest get appointed?
No,
This year, posted
the
about that?
CTC,
They've
Citizen
been in place
Transportation
for
Commission.
2.5 years.
But that's
Yeah.
separate from the Transportation Citizens Board that talks to the city council. Is that separate from the city council advisory board?
Yeah, it's not part of the city council.
So they have like monthly meetings, or does it say in there? Is that what they do?
It was last Thursday of the month.
They have a calendar up.
They were created to control the purse strings around the big Prop 104 vote that we had 2.5 years ago,
No, T2050.
and which became T2050 as a program name. This is the body. I mean, that's $35 billion, right?
Wow.
This is the body that's supposed to make sure no one's embezzling out of the $35 billion. That's what their
Okay.
charge is.
Yes, I went to one of the earlier meetings, and I think Joe's been to one of those. I don't think anybody's been in over a year.
Now, with those meetings, this money, is it just, it's not all for cycling, it's just, is it mainly?
No, it's for all the transportation.
Just
infrastructure
transportation
around,
infrastructure. Okay.
around Phoenix. They're for public anyway.
Okay.
It's like the light rail expansion and bus stop upgrades,
All that kind of
and
stuff.
cycling lanes and all that kind of thing. It's all supposed to be integrated.
Yeah,
package.
Okay.
But the South of CCO wants to take all of the money from the light rail out and put it all towards buses and,
Yeah,
He
self-driving
wants to-
people movers.
yeah, he wants to completely stop all and any expansion for the light
Who
rail.
wants to do that?
South of CCO.
Okay.
District
Council
six.
Councilman
six.
South of CCO District.
He has a
6.
whole half-hour episode talking about how light rail isn't the transportation of the future, and it's all going to be people movers, and we need to invest in that. And he wants to take all of the money that's been allocated for the light rail expansion and basically reallocate it towards investment in expanding the bus line and using like people mover infrastructure and
He wants
self-driving
driverless
vehicles.
vehicles.
do you live
And he's pushing for it hard. Oh yes, we do.
We've
His
had
office
meetings
knows us
already.
very well. Because I'm trying to get sidewalks on my street right now. I mean, and it took me 2 years to get that meeting, and I finally got the petition. So I be canvassing for those signatures. Sal's office knows me. They don't like me, but they know me.
But that's, they don't have to like you. I mean,
Yeah.
you're doing, probably doing a
But
good
they're
job.
working with her too, so.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't go away. I think
Well, that's-
after
you know, that's what you
after
gotta
2
do.
years, they were like, just give her the petition and she'll shut up and go away. And now I call the engineer every day.
All right.
So anything else you want to add? I mean, do we want to try to get together? I mean, I don't even know where we start.
I was gonna say, I think the biggest thing for us in reaching out and coming today, and first of all, I appreciate you guys having us out here, is that again, as we said, we're not cyclists. We're learning off of tragedy from something very, very close. So it's trying to figure out how do we improve everything as a whole. And when we talk about the safety classes, that's a small scale, kind of easy hands-on impact. But we're also trying to balance out to a large scale, which I mean, that definitely sounds like what you guys are trying to do is, you know, it's a greater long-term change. So we're just trying to reach out to anybody that has any actions going. How do we work together for a common cause? You know, for us and with you guys right now, it's definitely a long-term, bigger scale that we want to be a part of as well. So it's, as we're learning, you guys have been established, it's how can we help you? You know, what ideas that we might have that, you know, maybe you guys haven't thought of, or anything that comes about. And I definitely think it's a strength in numbers. You know, the more that we have people looking at this, how changing the culture, just improving from a young age. How do people become more aware of cyclists? You know, especially, and that was kind of our thought with doing some of these young safety classes. If you start to get them younger, even if they don't continue to ride, but maybe when they get their driver's license, like, oh, I remember learning that stuff. So it's working on different scales. But again, it's just trying to make those connections to see how do we all work together and have more faces talking and speaking about
So
a
these
problem.
safety training, who's doing the training? Is that something you're doing yourselves, or?
Yeah, with performance cycling, so we're having some cyclists out there, and they've talked with, so the first one's going to be in Chandler.
Okay, but the performance cycling, the bike shops are doing it?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be out there putting together little quiz and stuff like that for kids to understanding the safety equipment, laws, how to ride and all that, making sure things fit properly. So that's kind of, again, that's the first thing that we're doing as an event. Then that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And then, as I said, just we want
And we just don't get that many people
Yeah.
that come forward. I mean, you'll be there, and it's mostly the residents that live in the community, not the cyclists
Absolutely.
there too. And yeah, if we had an extra 20 voices show up to every one of those meetings, the difference would be dramatic.
Yeah.
Never mind if we got 50 or 100.
Yeah, and that's definitely what I think. I mean, any of these things that you guys are attending, let us know. We can, I mean, we'll blast out to as many
Okay.
people as we can. And I do think, because Rob was so well known and respected within his community, that I think that I would hope that we could be able to pull 20 people, you know, to come out, and hopefully more. You know, and that's, again, like Mark said, it's let us know, because again, as we're learning, share with us what committees and where to be, and you know, we'll do our best to get
Okay.
as many
Yeah,
faces and voices out.
Yeah,
there.
we can share the things we put in our
Yeah.
newsletter with you. You can share the
Yeah.
same content,
Absolutely.
or reference our content as
Yeah.
well. What Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? Which
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
Rob Dollar, FMD. Yeah.
We do
You know,
all.
you're on all
Oh,
podcasts.
yeah.
You guys are great presence, yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere.
So
Well, we try because
Yeah.
I'm new at a lot of that stuff because I don't do it, but I'm trying to get into it.
one of the things coming up are the budget hearings every
Yeah.
April. This is like a yearly thing that we go to and show up and make noise. And when we've had the most success is when we've had people show up. I remember one year we had maybe 20 just cyclists show up, which was like unheard of. And
We can try to push that.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
You give
so-
us the dates, we can try to push that because
that would be super helpful.
because I'm telling you that, you know, I don't know if when he died, it was on the news and everything,
We got a lot of
and,
publicity, yeah.
and you know, we're still going through the court issues, and we're gonna be, when the sentencing comes, we're gonna try to get 1,000 riders down at Capitol, because we want,
Right.
you know, I try to get as many riders as we can, and you know, push it to the forefront. You know, let's protect these people, and like I said, we can try to. You know, the thing about it, when you ride like Heat Rose, that's all they do is ride.
Yeah.
They don't have time to do anything else. They're riding, they're cleaning their bike, they don't have time. So, like the different bike clubs that we want to reach out to also is, you know, if you guys see a pothole, email us. Just, you know, that's all you gotta do. Just email us and let us, you guys know a lot more about the advocacy and the legislation, and you know, if you email us, and we can try to push some and get some of these things that.
Isn't there a vehicle to just report it right to the city?
Yeah, there's the dispatch emails. I think it's
At Your Service Phoenix, the
Yeah,
website.
there's that too. There's also a direct one. I think it's dispatch 19 or something like that at phoenix.gov. I'll look it up.
Something we could put in the newsletter and leave there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I would ask that you folks sign up for Phoenix Folk People's newsletter.
Yeah, I was-
Get a newsletter out
Yeah, I
there.
was gonna say that.
I was gonna, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna discuss that the newsletter is one of our ways that we get out to people, because what we've discovered with Facebook is they put a premium on payment, so unless you pay, they really don't float your information as much. The newsletter allows us to get a nice monthly email out to people, so when we show up at like home tours and things like that, one of our big objectives, just not just in addition to just getting our name out there, is getting people to sign up for our newsletter.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people we have on there.
300, I think.
300 or so, yeah. So that's people that they'll get the emails and they can read it, and it'll have information about what we're doing. Now the response isn't always as great as we'd like, but it's the best way to get it out there.
And that's I think that's our biggest weakness now is numbers.
Well,
Like I said, the riders are riding, man. That's what they do.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's,
this is
and,
the
and to get them to do
nitty-gritty stuff.
to get them to do other stuff, they just
Yeah, that's our work. Cause
But
we,
there are people that come with those riders, like we just went to the Race to Cure, or the Tour de Cure, and there are people that came up that aren't riders and said, how can I help? You know, that they have somebody in their life that either was affected by somebody running them over or whatever, or they have friends that are riders and they don't really want to ride, but they want to help in some way, so.
all right, so yeah, I think one of the first things we do is just in our total, just share your site on across our platforms, and maybe include you in our next newsletter.
Yeah.
When it goes out first of April. Ish.
Yes.
We got one coming up.
24th, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then maybe at the same time, you could encourage your followers to sign up
Yeah,
for our
absolutely.
newsletter and,
Yeah.
and say, look for these meeting announcements that we'll put out, and open house announcements.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're going to talk more about budget hearings here shortly.
And real quick, two things. Sorry to interrupt. One, I'm gonna have to run a youth soccer game we got to do. But do you guys mind if I take a picture and post to our
No, not
Instagram?
at all.
Everything right now. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll just take a picture to you right now. So, all right.
All right.
So now I'll get it out.
Okay.
oh yeah, he's got those kids.
Oh, we're posing.
wait,
You're in the
I don't
projector.
know if there's an action shot.
Yeah.
action.
There you go.
I think that was probably good. All right, perfect.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, again, sorry to run so early, but I appreciate your time. And as I say, I'm gonna leave. I'll leave a stack of business cards here for everybody, and then also some stickers that we have as well. So
Everybody likes stickers.
yeah.
Need one for the.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it if you guys don't mind us.
No,
saying,
no,
just
you
to
can
kinda-
say
Oh, absolutely. No.
Yeah, just to kind of get a.
Absolutely. Please.
All right, everybody, pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I'll see you, John.
Here you go, John.
I'll see you, Martin.
All right, thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you very much,
Good luck.
guys.
I know you now.
Yeah.
Good luck in the games.
Yeah.
Thank you,
okay.
guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So Dave, on the subcommittees.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess.
Pass it down.
So this is one of the big problems we've had. I guess all nonprofits have is going from thousands of followers to hundreds of people who might read an email to the ones of people who actually turn up at a board meeting or a city hall or report something. And so what I've been trying to focus on since I became VP a few months ago is trying to get all these thousands of people who follow us on Facebook into positions where they can do something, because almost everyone wants to help but has no idea how to. And I think Phoenix spokespeople have struggled before because I don't think we were very good at letting go and directing people and saying do this and go off and do it and report back. And so one of the things we've been played with before was subcommittees, and subcommittees went away because we were like, oh, it's overly bureaucratic and they don't really help. And now we've brought them back again. So this
Because
is
nothing was getting done without
because
them.
nothing was getting done with it. Even less than the little that was getting done with subcommittees was being done without them. So I tried to take 2 subcommittees. So I sat down and came up with 5 of them, and I printed them out. I don't know if this might interest you guys as to how we're trying to structure things.
Is that what BOFAM is?
Yeah. I'll borrow yours, sure. It's probably enough.
It's a very engineer way of doing things, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Order, structure. So I basically came up with 5. And bear in mind here, the whole point is getting people who want to help and being able to point them somewhere to someone who needs something done in PSP. Because normally we have a whole boatload of stuff we wanted to do, and I think as an individual, like for me, when someone says I want to help, it's too overwhelming to instantly try and think, oh God, what's all the different things we need to do? And say, what do you want to help with? Okay. So what I'm hoping with this is these are broad enough, and each can have one person at the head of it, that when someone says they're interested, we can at least say, oh, you want to help plan fun events? Okay, you can talk to Bill and go and talk to the Bike Fun Committee. Or you want to help just running PSP itself, that would be the meta, like all the things to do with it. So I guess I can go through them now as well. And I try to give them separate colors so that in Trello, which is, I don't know if you've seen Trello, it's a like project management online tool. We use Trello a load to like organize. It's like note card taking online. Yeah,
It's kind of like a bulletin board.
sticky bulletin board thing.
Okay.
You can label things. So I picked the colors, and what I realized, which I think is reassuring about these subcommittees, is almost everything on the agendas and our big things that need to be done Trello board, they can always fit into one of these 5 categories. So they are the bike category,
I like that.
which is so bike would be anything to do with like bikes themselves. So that's our bike rack committee, which is currently not doing anything because there's no one to do it. Bike valet, which we're not doing anywhere near as much because it's only me running it. And the Lights Staying Alive program, which I want to talk about later. But again, that's kind of just on the sideline. Online Orange, that I'm already doing most of this with a lot of help from Suzanne. So that's the newsletter and email and everything. That's pretty self-explanatory. Fun, Bill, I put you in charge of the Bike Fun subcommittee because historically. Advocacy is pretty obvious again, and I looped into that, including like talking to other foundations and organizations, anything that kind of results in us influencing other parties. And then Meta was my name for everything to do with PSP itself. So like being here now and organizing meetings, and I think membership falls under that because that's the generating of money, which kind of leads into financials. And I'm sure each of these will lean on other things, like pretty much everyone requires online stuff to be done, like go in the newsletter and things like that. But my hope is that if we can get at least one person to lead each of these 5 subcommittees, then that person can identify things that are needed. Like whoever ends up in charge of the bike, like I'd love someone to be in charge of the bike one, because I'm happy to help with bike valet, but I want to be able to tell someone like, oh, find people to help with this, rather than me having to do all of that and the online stuff.
What is the bike valet?
Bike valet is a service where, so for big events, people just bring their bikes to the valet, and then we take your bike and give you a claim check. And we put a matching number on the bike, and then we go and put it in a secure rack, and you go off to watch the baseball game.
Oh,
And then you come back with your claim check,
There's
and
your
we
bike.
get the bike, yeah. So
Don't have
instead
to
of,
worry about your bike getting stolen.
or locking them all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's,
Pay the car, get closer,
Yeah.
usually get closer to the venue.
Oh, yeah.
like, and-
How do you coordinate that? Do you coordinate that with areas to get that?
normally it's people who have become aware of it,
Uh-huh.
of the concept for other events, reaching out to local bike non-profits and saying, hey, I was actually going to talk about it. I think it's on the list. It's on the list down here actually, so we can probably cover it in a bit. So that's the general idea. The one thing I wanted to do is see if I could just get somebody. I was hoping there might be more existing board members here, but John, are you happy doing Meta? Mm-hmm. Does this make sense broadly, by the way? Does anyone have any questions? I don't know if it's good or if it's better, but
I like it.
I hope it's better than the non-existent one. Bike Fun is really the committee that we always had, which was fun events.
Because that's fun to do.
Yeah. And I think it was very concrete, like it's an event and it's happening on this date, and it's pretty easy to rally people around it and say, you make the flyers for this event with this logo. And the rest, like I think that kind of the I guess the bike stuff's pretty concrete as well.
And we're still doing some of that because we've still got a couple bike racks left, and we had a couple people that were supposed to buy one and didn't follow up, but didn't follow through, I should say.
But this is
But our source, for that we need to go back to our original plan of looking to get racks manufactured, not just relying on those surplus ones we've been getting, because
I believe it's still on. No,
I
it's
think that source may be going away.
yeah.
Honestly, Dave, I think I can probably do bike, that committee, because it's pretty apolitical, as opposed to like me chairing advocacy, that would be a problem, because I work for a regional agency. I would get in trouble if it appeared like I was trying to boss our member cities around. So, because I already, Valley Metro owns the bike racks that PSP often uses for bike valet. So I'm already interfacing with the event organizers.
I'm gonna write your name
I
on
can
here.
just let them know that if they need a bike valet, I can reach out to a group and see what we get. Okay?
I wrote it in big letters,
I
so.
can be responsive, and I wish people would use Sign Up Genius. I know nobody likes it, but it's handy. You help me, Dave, with your internet smarts. You help me think of a way to like schedule people, but I will take responsibility for that.
Sign Up Genius is the best way to do it.
Sign Up
So
Genius.
fucking
We use that at my work.
so bad.
Somebody, if you add a certain person enough, they'll eventually use Sign Up Genius. I won't mention his name, he's not here.
Yeah, right. He's on his way, by the way.
Oh.
That's what they, yeah. But how does that sound?
Yeah, that's
As
amazing.
far as selling bike racks, we were almost out, so that.
Yeah, and then I'm sure there'll be lots of cross-pollination. My hope is that if we come back in a month or two, for each of these loosey-goosey subcommittees, there might be the person heading it, but like one or two people who have also we've slurped out of. And in the newsletter, what I'd like to do is say, we need someone to help with Suzanne with the bike subcommittee. If you're interested in selling bike racks or helping people with bikes.
We had a bike valet specialist, somebody who said, sure, I'll manage. Perhaps two, because sure, one might be out of town for an event, whatever.
I think it's something we've mentioned before is, when we ask for help, ask for very specific like that.
Right.
Yes.
And ask, you gotta look at somebody and say, Jeff, can you help next Saturday on this thing?
Right.
Because if you just say, can anybody help with this?
Well, not even a specific event, but reach out. PSP needs your help running things.
Yes.
Does somebody want to be in charge of this general task, not necessarily a specific event?
Yeah.
And just,
Yeah, we need someone to go to storage location A and inventory things by next Friday or whatever. Can you-
well, storage location is my second bedroom.
So that leaves only advocacy. Anyone who isn't on the list, Laura?
Me, please.
Yay!
Ooh, well,
That's terrifying.
By motion of being the only person here who isn't assigned and is also a board member.
I'm going to write your name real quick.
My name's on it.
you know, Sean Sweat is a paid member. He's not a board member, but he's got some good ideas for advocacy. I'm just gonna-
Aye.
I've got a couple I need to bring up here before the end of the meeting too. They're urgent.
We'll do a write-in. Well, we got advocacy is next on the agenda, anyway. Okay, so what now with everyone in position, what I might have is before the next meeting, I will nag the people in the positions of each thing to at least say, here's one thing that this subcommittee is trying to do, and that we need people for, and ideally, and we found 2 people. And then we can go from there, I guess. All right, advocacy.
You want to talk about budget hearings, John?
I just know
You
they're
kind of
coming
did
up, man.
already.
Yeah, let's just mention those.
Yeah. I think Alexa will reach out and ask people to come to them.
Do we know when they are?
We did, we just received a list of the dates this week, and there are about 16 of them. So it's quite time consuming to create a Facebook event for each of those, but somebody will.
I was about to.
And, yeah, it was.
Probably the biggest thing I need, and maybe Sean can help with this.
It's easier now because they let you do duplicate.
Yeah.
But they didn't used to let you do that.
Yeah.
Though before I posted them, I really wanted to get some kind of talking point,
Yes.
and that's what I don't know. Those budget docs, my God, I spent about.
One second, Sean, have you seen whether the budget is posted? The dates are posted.
Budget
Is
dropped
there-
on
The
March
trial.
20th.
It is?
Yeah.
Trial budget, okay.
It Everyone was thinking it was going to be in the hole, but somehow there was some accounting voodoo, mostly pushing out debt, and they found that there was $3 million to play with, which is nothing. They're talking about a $4 billion budget.
There's some rounding
But
error.
bringing it to bikes, I honestly don't know where bike messaging fits at the budget hearings anymore because of T2050.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
All the transportation money goes through T2050, and that's not a part of the budget hearing process. So I don't know. You talk about how it's hard to get people to come out and spend time doing the dry, boring stuff of advocacy. I don't know if it's worth spending your social capital on pulling people out to budget hearings that aren't going to matter.
Thank you.
Make more sense go to CGC.
Yes.
The one thing I did notice right at the top of the draft proposal document, it says safety is their number one thing, which dials in really nicely with, I just put it up on my phone, is it NAFTA, which is the city organization, here it is, NACTO. NACTO put out this thing.
About the Uber.
No, this is about their suggested treatment for bike lanes on streets based on vehicle load and speeds. And it pretty clearly makes, that's what it says. I linked it on the Slack. It's contextual guidance for selecting all ages and abilities bikeways. And this is from the National Association of City Transport Officials, NACTO. And it pretty much, they have this little table, probably should have it on TV, but it has like target motor vehicle speed and number of lanes, and then it says what you should have. And of course, when you get over 26 miles an hour or greater, the only option they say is protected bicycle lanes. And since currently the city's plan has 0.5%, did we decide, of the lanes planned in the next 5 years are going to have protection, and the other 99.5% are just going to be a piece of paint.
2.5 miles over the next 5 years.
That's our achievement. So I don't know if it's worth going up at the budget hearings, at least with that tidbit, and even if there's no actionable thing in the budget, it might be nice to have it on a video on YouTube on the budget thing to be able to share. Like, hey, your number one concern for the budget is safety, and yet 98.5% of lanes are not safe by NACTO standards.
What I'll say about the budget hearings, though, is at least the council members are present, and that's where you really get a lot of, they kind of gauge the interest. So if you all of a sudden have 20 or 30 people showing up and making noise about cycling, I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, I imagine that would still be powerful, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are steering, transportation. They can lean on transportation to do certain things. And in fact, we've seen that with the protected bike lane 3rd and 5th Avenue. We kind of pushed back, and we reached out to Laura Vice Mayor Laura Pastor about that, and they had a meeting with us, and they met with transportation. It didn't really come to a whole lot, but at least they talked to transportation about a specific protected bike lane and how we wanted it to go longer, and so there's been conversations back and forth. So I don't know, I still think that budget hearings might be important because of that. But
Yeah, maybe in a general sense, this is what you want safety-wise, blah, 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 not asking for specific dollars.
So Vice Mayor is now Thelda. That happened on
Right.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you're going to go with that strategy, write off the mayor, write off Danny, and write off Kate, because they're all resigning soon.
Right.
Now, maybe Danny or Kate are likely to become mayor then, so I don't know. Roll the dice. But the mayor's not going to matter for a long-term play, right? Because he's going to Congress. He's going to try to. So make sure to put that in the calculus too, of who's going to be around. Nowakowski doesn't matter, right? He's got a year left.
When you go to these, when you go to these budget meetings, how do they know? How do they know what you're there for?
They give you 3 minutes to speak.
So you can go, so the people that are there can go up there and talk. That's how they. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can ask them questions. You can talk to them about specifics, whatever you want, and they start to kind of get to know your face after a while.
If you go all the time.
If you go frequently enough, yeah.
If you prefer not to speak, you can submit written comments as well. Or if you could just want to show up but you can't stay, you can leave a comment card. And if it's turned
So then they know that, okay, we got 20 people, what are they, you know, that's what I'm saying, you have 20 people there, how do they know what you're there for, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they have a public, comment.
Yeah, and if they
time
put all,
set
they
aside.
put all requests, all put in requests to speak, then you're gonna have 20 people speaking about that for 3 minutes each.
And that's one point, if you guys are doing it together to kind of coordinate amongst yourselves, so you don't just say the exact same thing.
Right.
It'll really, if there's several things you want to try to spread it out.
Story to tell, you can do it.
Let's say a very similar thing.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Or if, like I said, I mean, okay, so we have one person talking, but they're representing these 20 people.
That
So-
doesn't have the same level.
That doesn't do it.
Because are they having to listen to bicycle safety for an hour? No. They're having to listen for 3 minutes. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
They need to hear, to have any impact, they have to hear the exact same thing over and over and over again from different people.
And I think personal stories, which obviously you guys have.
Yeah.
You know.
Like saying, you say safety is your number one priority, however, 98, whatever percent of roads are not safe.
Oh yeah, bring the
Saying that,
measurable
each of us say
statistics.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actions.
Right.
Show exactly. Now, do you guys have, this is probably off topic, but do you have any idea of how you, say we want to get some signs, we want to have some changes over there in South Mountain. Do you guys have any idea of how you would do that? There's no signs for beware of cycling, there's nothing up there.
So it's a city park, so.
Who's Joe Perez?
Hey, Joe, John Dollar.
Chuck? Joe, nice to meet you. So I work for the city of Phoenix. This is a very timely topic. I'm glad we're on this topic right now, budget hearings, and this is a difficult situation. And I don't know what was said before I got here, but I'm just going to say that we need everybody going to the budget hearings emphasizing that the city is broken. Community economic development is bringing Amazon here and their drivers who are driving fast on our streets. Community economic development are doing things that recruit people to come here and make our streets more dangerous and unsafe. Planning and development is broken. It is promoting gated communities, lack of connectivity, and freeway barriers. South Mountain Freeway is 22 miles long and has one pedestrian bridge. This is unacceptable. There are freeway-specific plans that have been developed by the Planning Commission that are not being developed by South Mountain. This is something else that this group needs to ask for, is that why is planning and development not doing a freeway-specific plan for South Mountain Freeway, and why are there not crossings of this freeway? Third, street transportation is fundamentally broken. Day after day, every day, someone on our streets gets killed by someone who's driving. The Street Transportation Department has no program.
That includes people in cars too.
Yeah, absolutely. Has no program to reduce car crashes on streets like Bell Road, Indian School, Camelback, and 19th Avenue, where a lot of people ride bikes. I have statistics that show that 80% of our crashes happen on arterial streets. 66% of our crashes happen on streets without bike lanes. Right? These are facts that I have that are available to anybody in this room who wants to ask me for them, either online or whatever. And this is the message that needs to be delivered to Mr. Zerker, Mr. Paniagua, and everyone else on council who's attending, that their leadership is failing us. Those three departments are failing us. And it's their responsibility to do something about this. And Parks and Rec, you know, they need to do something about this also, but signs are not going to help. Well, remember, for instance, signs can help on South Mountain. But Parks and Recreation has to be convinced that that's going to be useful, and then they need the budget to spend the money. So Parks and Recreation and everyone else is going to tell you they don't have the budget for this. That's total bullshit. There is so much goddamn money in this city. It's the priorities of city council and the priorities of the city manager's office that continue to fail to promote safety in this city.
There's a great quote from a guy named Brent Tadarian. He was the planner in Vancouver, I think. It's that you can tell a city's aspirations not by its vision statement, but by its budget priorities.
Right. We get what we pay for it. If we don't pay for traffic safety, we don't get traffic safety.
So are the budget hearings the place to say this?
100%, yes.
Can I add some further context? This is one of the two things I needed to bring up that is absolutely urgent, and we can tie this into the budget hearings, whatever the best strategy is. But this is something we need PSP's help on. I brought it up before, so stop me if I'm going to belabor the background. Complete Streets. Does everybody here know what Complete Streets is?
Yeah,
Right, so
everybody knows.
No.
So
John says no.
I don't.
okay, Complete Streets is it's the concept that streets need to be built for all users. So if there's a street that's only built, let's look at 7th Street, right? If you have a street, 7th Street, that's really only built for people to use a car, it's only built for drivers, that street would be called incomplete because it's not been designed for the safe. It's not been designed to include the safety of pedestrians, people on bikes, or even transit for that matter. Because like waiting for the bus stop is terrifying when you have a car 50 miles per hour right on you, 3 feet away from you. Yeah. So 7th Street would be considered an incomplete street, just as an example. So Complete Streets is the idea that we need to make all of our streets complete, so that all users, that includes cars, right? A lot of times in the U.S. in particular, this means shifting the focus from the car, but it's not to eliminate the car. It's just because we've only built for the car for the past 70 years that the focus is. It's pretty clear which way we have to change if we're going to find a balance. The city in 2014, summer of 2014, passed a Complete Streets ordinance one ordinance saying we shall do complete streets, but we don't know what that means. The other ordinance is saying we will also create a Complete Streets Advisory Board to figure out what that means, right? So they created one which was incomplete, but then the second to help flesh it out. That was the goal. That board met for the first time, and I'm on it in November of 2014. And part of the ordinance said that within 1 year they shall create design guidelines that go to City Council. So that 1 year would have been November of 2015. We all know where we're at now. That still hasn't happened, and not because the board hasn't tried. The board created those design guidelines in November 2015 like they were instructed to, like we were instructed to, and staff refused to take it to council. Staff instead decided to push it through some pre-approvals through development bodies, and the development community hates this. I'm not entirely sure why. There's not logical reasons. I know why they think they hate it, but they actually have also said they haven't even. Well, they've also said they haven't even read it. They've said that straight up in a formal meeting before. They're still lobbying against it. So the streets department said we're going to take this through pre-approvals, through development boards, Development Advisory Board, Planning Commission, and those boards squashed it. Said go back, talk to the developers more, and come back. So then we had the year of 2016, which was lost to developers. Basically, just getting in a room with developers, doing stakeholder engagement, them saying we want this not to happen, us saying well we want it to happen, and when our board said we're going to recommend it happen, the developers said well that's unreasonable. You're not engaging with us in good faith. So then we recommended the design guidelines, and we're trying to get that to council now. 3.5 years late, I guess 2.5 from November of 2015, so 2.5 years late. So we're actually out of compliance from the law, right? Ordinance is law. We're out of compliance to the ordinance. And the streets department is again making us go to Development Advisory Board, Planning Commission to try to kill the Complete Streets design guidelines. And Development Advisory just went to the Development Advisory Board a week and a half ago, and they refused to approve the design guidelines. These design guidelines are not radical. They are, the meat and potatoes of them are from the NACTO, National Association of City Transportation Officials. It's from their Urban Street Design Guide, which has been endorsed by multiple cities all over the country, as well as the Federal Highway Administration, which is not exactly a bunch of lefty pinkos. Okay? So the city of Phoenix won't touch this. And when we're talking about people dying on our streets every day, and we're talking about bicycle safety, we can't do it if the city is going to refuse to put on their docket, put in their toolkit, Complete Streets design guidelines, because that is how we do it, is through those design guidelines. If we don't have those design guidelines, we should just go. We should just leave. And if the city's going to fight us on these design guidelines, we should just go home right now and have brunch, because this is the next step of progress. And if we can't make this, there is no progress. And so we need PSP's help, because right now, Streets Department is killing this, and it is failing, it's going down. So we need PSP's help.
I have at least one suggestion, perhaps two. Sean, if I could get you to put that into a couple of paragraphs and send it to me for inclusion in the April newsletter. We've only got, 300 subscribers, but still. And then
That's gonna take a big bump here soon.
And when does your April newsletter go out?
Say it again?
When does your April newsletter go out?
Well, I tried her around the first.
Okay, no,
I
it's-
tried hard her around the first.
Okay.
It needs to go out before the first budget hearing.
No,
First budget
if,
hearing, which is.
if I may, can I do this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, excuse me.
Let me say two things as well. The Mayor of Phoenix, Rick Stanton, signed a Vision Zero statement in 2015 at Resolution 100 with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and nothing has been done on that yet. And Vision Zero, of course, as many of you know, is commitment to zero fatalities and serious injuries, and we should really ratchet that to zero crashes in its entirety. Other cities that have gone on to this have had significant reductions in their crashes. Number two, the Street Transportation Department is embarking upon a key corridor master plan, which is going to determine, without much input, unless you guys get on it, where bike lanes are going to be essentially forbidden from being put. The key corridor master plan is a freight plan, it's a commuter corridor plan, it's a plan of complete garbage to not allow bike lanes on certain streets.
We're about to spend $500,000 on that.
Complete streets, and we're about to spend $500,000.
It's a $450,000 contract to Jacobs Engineering to basically codify that certain streets will never have bicycle infrastructure.
The people that are on this contract, one of them is Sam Schwartz Engineering. They're very, very good engineers if they get direction to do bicycle-friendly suggestions. But if street transportation is the only body in the room suggesting to them that we don't want bike lanes, we want freight, and we want everything else, bike lanes are going to be last, that's what's going to happen. What we need is bicyclists and pedestrians put first. That's what has to happen.
So we need to show up at the budget hearings.
Show up at the budget
to say
hearings,
this. Yeah.
show up everywhere, all the time. T&I subcommittee, these letters that have been written to Street Transportation Board have gone unanswered, as far as I know, and it's time for that to ratchet up to the mayor's office and the city manager's office, because I can promise you that Street Transportation is working with Aztec to tell PSP to go pound sand on the 3rd Avenue two-way cycle track. That needs to be escalated as soon as possible, and if 3rd Avenue and 5th Avenue are supposed to be bicycle-friendly corridors, why are those streets converted to two-way traffic and unbuffered, unprotected bike lanes? That is complete nonsense. We need City Council to understand that if it's good enough for Mayor Goddard and Monica Goddard, who live on 5th Avenue between Roosevelt and McDowell, and there is not going to be two-way travel on that part of 5th Avenue or 3rd Avenue, then it's good enough for everybody else that 3rd and 5th Avenue remain the way they've been for 60 years, and that we need to put wrong way signs for the people who drive the wrong way. There is one pair of wrong way signs on 3rd Avenue from Roosevelt down to Van Buren. Why is that? There are 3 streets that cross 3rd Avenue, McKinley, Fillmore, and if you don't turn and see a wrong way sign, how do you know you're going the wrong way? You don't. You don't see arrows on the pavement pointing the other direction, you don't know you're going the wrong way. But street transportation wants these things to be 2 lanes of travel. They don't give a damn about safety, they don't give a damn about volume on our streets. 3rd and 5th Avenue don't have enough cars to even justify 2 lanes of travel. Look at 15th Avenue. How many cars are on 15th Avenue every day? And that's 1 lane each direction. Why are 3rd and 5th Avenue 2 lanes? They should not be 2 lanes, and they should definitely not be 2-way. But what's going to happen is we're going to make them 2-way, and the bike lanes are going to be marginalized, and it's going to be unattractive to ride your bikes on 3rd and 5th Avenue. And the transition at Roosevelt is going to be a disgusting mess. So this group has to get angry like I am.
Roosevelt is concerned. That Roosevelt transition is scary. Is going to be scary.
Yeah. What's going to happen at Roosevelt, the cyclists on a 2-way cycle track are going to be going diagonal to cross over because the bike lane is, instead of being two-way, south of Roosevelt is going to be one lane on each side of the street. So you have to go diagonally, or use the crosswalk, and use the other crosswalk to get to where the bike facility is. It's complete stupidity.
And I think this is why we need more people to be able to vocalize this, because if it's just, 4 or 5 of the PSP,
Yeah.
People showing up all the time, it's only going to get so much traction.
Right.
Don't undersell the value of the brand, though. Even if,
Yeah.
Yeah,
even
for
if it
sure.
is just 5 people making a vote.
And we need more women, please, to attend, especially in Thelma Williams District. Thelma Williams is going to be the new mayor or the vice mayor. She's been appointed vice mayor, I believe, already. Thelma Williams loves to see women speaking up and speaking out. And we need women at all of the budget hearings that she attends, pretty pleased with sugar on top. And I would say Kate Diego and Laura Pastor also need to see ladies and women showing up and asking for safer road conditions.
Okay, so for the newsletter, Sean's gonna send me a little bit of info on that
Yes.
Citizens
We're-
Transportation Committee, and we're gonna come up with some talking points to share with our members and say, look, if you'd like to get involved, here's what we think.
That would be
Yeah.
excellent.
Send talking points and kind of a list of other CTC meetings and other meetings, public meetings that people need to go to.
I'm also going to ask if PSP would join a coalition on this. This is going to go down within a month. So I'm going to ask if PSP will join a broader coalition on this to support and tell the city that we need an up or down vote from council on the Complete Streets design guidelines.
Okay.
Even if it's a down vote, we need to know at least we need to know who the good guys and the bad guys are. Because right now they're just punting.
When you say form a coalition, what exactly
Along
does that mean?
with Urban Phoenix Project and some of the other groups, is that what you mean?
And American Heart Association and AARP and LISC and PERG and Sustainable Cities Collaborative. This has to be big. So I'm working on
So are they already on board and you just want us to join? Is that it?
Not yet. I've talked with the American Heart Association before. I can get all of them on board. I need to deliver them some language because they have to go to their boards. We can talk more later.
Yeah, we need to keep things moving because we won't get there for so long.
Yes, we better.
One other piece of infrastructure.
So we were just wondering, we didn't know, and we thought you guys might know, would we talk to SRP or would we talk to the city about getting better crossing for the canal? So like, for example, I had an appointment on Camelback at 40th Street, so I was like, great, I'll take the canal, I'll ride my bike, it'll be fantastic. I live over by 52nd and Thomas, and it was lovely and pleasant until I got to 44th Street, where, I don't know if you've ever tried to cross 44th Street on an afternoon. I think I waited like 15 minutes and then finally had to take, road down to Camelback, did the cross, and then road back up. And it's not just there, it's also like on 40th Street and everything else. It just seems like every time I want to take the canal, which is lovely, and I enjoy taking the canal, we also ride the canal to our bike shop, it's great until you get to a street. Now, I know the canal is SRP, but and I'm just talking about like the yellow blinking lights,
Yeah.
the pedestrian crossing.
It's going to be a full traffic signal.
So,
But that's the Grand Canal or the need.
No, the Arizona
I
Canal
was gonna say, is any
is
Arizona
gonna be
Canal
a full traffic signal.
So east of 24th Street?
I saw a drawing for that yesterday, so that is coming.
Okay.
So that's
Give her my card.
Canalscape. That's
Well, Canalscape is Grand Canal. She's talking AZ Canal.
yeah.
Arizona
that's
Canal
what
east
we're
of
talking
24th Street doesn't have any crossings at all.
okay.
Right, and it's incredibly, so is that gonna be at every major street or what? Cause like, for example, 40th and Camelback where you cross, it's not, I don't see how that's a full light, cause you have the full light at 40th, and it doesn't make sense to put another full light like 10 feet away, but it still needs some type of, there's not even a crosswalk painted. I mean, you still need something there.
You do like an Indian school by the car wash there where they have just pedestrian crossing.
So we're gonna, right, so all of the canals are on the bicycle master plan, the Arizona Canal, Grand Canal, Western Canal, Highland Canal, Indian Bend Wash. I think there's 7 different waterways that are on the master plan. All of those are gonna have signalized crossings, bridges or tunnels at arterial streets, at collector streets like 15th Avenue, street transportation is a little more. Huh?
I think.
Yeah,
Oak
we're talking
Street's
about our,
that.
like, yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Oak Street doesn't.
Yeah, the canal crosses Oak Street at 26th.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, that there's a crossing there, yeah.
So that's the Grand Canal crosses Oak at 26th, the Arizona Canal does not cross Thomas Road. It goes up to
It's up
Scottsdale.
on- Yeah.
So
Indian School.
Indian School and it's over-
48,
Yeah.
44.
Yeah. Crosscut over there by Oso Tavern and Brewery. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is like this is already planned. Like this is something that's going.
It's
to happen.
active. So if you email me, I can get you some more details on schedule,
Okay.
implementation, budget. You know, we can do all the design we want, but we have to still make sure the budget is
Right.
appropriated for that project when it's ready. And there are lots of bike master plan projects that are currently unfunded. 24th Street, I think,
Yep.
is one of them. But the canals, they're important. But one of the problems with the canals we're having is that it's not right of way, so we can't spend gas tax, AHR money on it. We have to spend sales tax money. T2050 and some other sales tax pots of money exist that we can pull from, but you know we have to again have pressure. We did apply for federal aid for the Western Canal. That did not survive the committee selection
Now,
process.
does the city ever look into like the ADA grants, like on the federal level? They're a little bit like community block grants, but they're allocated directly to cities. And you do have to do a population study because it has to meet a certain percentage threshold of disabled people. But like part of the reason we're advocating for the sidewalks is because there's just a lot of disabled people that use our street, and it's a collector street for 50 seconds. So
So you can-
is that something that's even on the radar? Because I never hear the city talk about using ADA or applying for ADA fed grants.
So the city, we do have an ADA coordinator. His name is Peter Fisher.
I know Peter.
So that's your contact for that. And we do have
That's funny
a.
'cause he sent me to he's like, well, the different departments would have to answer that question.
Well, so he's the ADA coordinator, so he should be helping coordinate. But there's a guy named Perfect Arroyo and Kirk O'Leary and one other guy. We have a big list of ADA deficiencies that we're working on throughout the city. And so, I mean, you can email me and I can hook you up with them and they can tell you what they're working on. And really, they're under-resourced. If more budget was applied to them and more people were hired to work for them, then we could put out more ramps. But again, as Sean said earlier, the city's priorities are elsewhere.
But that's the whole thing about these ADA federal grants. They're not just for ramps. In fact, they specifically don't fund ramps. What they fund are things like sidewalks and bike lanes, because obviously a lot of people with disabilities use hand bikes or they use cargo bikes. It specifically is to get the message and get funding towards non-ramp, non-building infrastructure and fund streets, walkways, transportation corridors. It's specifically to, because everyone just thinks ADA, oh, you have a ramp, you're good. Oh, your bathroom door is wide, you're good. And all of this, this whole program is to get cities into a mindset of thinking beyond building codes when it comes to disability, and a lot of that does overlap with bicyclists.
So please email me, and we can talk about and let me know the source of funds and where they are, and we'll start. I'll make sure, and you can help me. We'll start applying for those.
Okay.
And if I personally am not, I'm not familiar with this. I thought maybe Peter would be, but if you educate me, I will go to bat and I will get it done.
So I have to get going, but I don't know if someone wants to continue taking notes, or if you want to if you wouldn't mind sending me the link to the YouTube, I can go through and finish watching the meeting.
Okay,
later,
yeah,
and then
that'd be
finish
fun.
the notes that way. So
Self-documenting.
nice to meet you guys.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you guys.
Okay, so we're trying to burn some of the things. You want to give a quick thing on the 20th Street meeting we went to?
Yeah, before that, we have at least one,
Thank you so much.
Just send me an email.
I just don't have that.
the Down Tempo ride
Okay.
that you'll probably know. It's like a Monday night social ride in downtown Phoenix. It's quite well attended, usually 20 plus people on that ride every week. That Monday coincides with an April 9th budget hearing at Indian School Park. So we're definitely going to partner with them to get Down Tempo, which normally starts at Civic Space. It's actually, they're going to start the ride at Seal Indian on that Monday, with the assumption that everyone can go into the budget hearing beforehand, and then we can all go and party after.
Oh, good.
So we definitely need some talking points for that.
I have I have 2.5 to 3 pages already written. So I've been waiting for this.
For the budget hearing talking points,
Yep.
Okay.
Laura, would you like to extract talking points for the budget hearings? Is that a good advocacy thing? From Joe and Sean.
I will try.
Yay!
Yeah, I'll type them up and send them to you, and you can wordsmith them all you want.
Yeah, but yeah, make them into. Okay.
All right, yeah. So we went to the 20th Street open house. When was it? A month ago.
Something like that. Yeah.
As usual, it's all angry people angry about. Oh, so this was an open house for some upcoming changes the city's proposing to 20th Street, which already has stripes of paint over bad asphalt, aka bike lanes.
And this is from
This was the
Grand Canal North to Glendale?
Yeah.
That one? Okay.
So a good stretch.
and a lot of it isn't any paint at all. It's just a big strip of tarmac.
Yeah.
Goes further south, comes all the way
Well,
downtown.
this project is.
This-
So we met. So considering there's ostensibly lanes already on the street, I think me and Bill were both quite surprised how much opposition there was.
Yeah, they weren't taking any lanes of traffic out. It was more delineation of what was already there. And some of the complaints, well, I'll have to slow down when somebody makes a left turn while they wait to turn.
Yeah, I never.
But I
heard
want
this.
cars to go slower on my street.
This is the best one I've ever heard. I can't believe I haven't heard this yet. Was one of the objections that people were making really vocally was, yeah, but if someone's making so it's one lane each way of vehicular traffic and 2 bike lanes, and people were saying, yeah, but if someone's trying to make a left, at the moment we can just use the bike lane to go around them, and if you're trying to put in protection, then we're not going to be able to do that, and it's going to cause snarled traffic. So this is ridiculous. And we were sort of thinking, well, that's kind of why we have to use protection. But a lot of people were.
Because you're right hooking me out.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of standard run of the mill. The plans I think looked pretty good. You know.
Yeah, they had a variety of different things. You know, from
They're phenomenal. Did you see the intersection at Camelback?
Yeah, and,
Protected intersection.
and Campbell too.
Campbell a little less, yeah, but Camelback and Campbell both had, or Highland, was it Highland? I think Highland.
Yeah.
there was
Had-
one in Highlands. I
had
remember
protected-
somebody complaining about that. I won't be able to make a left into Whole Foods. So.
Yeah, they had protected intersections. That's groundbreaking. The only downside is that it's like opening in 2020. Jesus.
And I will be off the bat. So a good case study for us, I think, is Missouri, where they wanted to put bike lanes in, and that was actually taking away a lane of traffic, if I remember correctly.
lanes.
Yeah.
2 lanes,
Yeah.
one each
Well, one
way.
each way.
And
But adding a
they-
center turn lane.
There's a social media platform called Nextdoor. I don't know if you've heard of Nextdoor.
Yeah.
The city posted on Nextdoor announcing an open forum for this and sort of saying, here's our plans for Missouri. And it was just a bloodbath of people saying, like, not in my goddamn backyard. You are going to destroy. My commute already takes 5 seconds to get down the street. It's going to take 8 seconds. And the city just folded. They were like, no, okay. Let's just leave it as is.
They canceled the public meeting.
Yeah, so when I go to, that was it, yeah, it didn't even get a
That's
public
right.
meeting because of the online
Yeah,
feedback was so
they said they got like
aggressive.
492
Complaints.
letters or something.
So when I go to these, like for example, 20th Street one, it's always try to keep it in the back of my mind that there are people there who hate it. Like, they don't care, even if they're not losing a lane of traffic. They're militant that there will be nothing spent on this. Not when there's potholes to be fixed. Is another classic one. You're wasting money on this stupid. No one rides bikes in Phoenix. So it was good to see good plans, but it was scary to be reminded that. What do you think? Half the people there probably.
Yeah.
No.
And there was.
If you don't mind riding, it's just dangerous to drive there anyway. People are lunatic on the road.
That's why there's traffic cushions on 20th Street now. I mean, we have a really permissive culture here. We don't have speed cameras. We don't have red light running cameras in the proportions that we need. The police are outnumbered by people driving illegally. I mean, you want to talk about illegal aliens? Let's talk about illegal driving. You know, I mean, I'm so sick of the argument that people who drive are entitled to drive as fast as they want. I'm so sick of GM and Ford showing how many horsepowers their cars and trucks have on commercials. I mean, it's asinine that people can buy a vehicle that has 400 horsepower and drive it on our streets, and yet
7 and 8 now.
I'm sorry, I don't have a car like that. So,
Yeah.
and you know, the rhetoric that we use is really important. I think that we need to start calling people illegal drivers, and we need to start talking about drivers killing people walking.
Isn't Phoenix, like, this is the number 1 pedestrian fatality in the country, right?
It's pretty high.
No, we're number 1.
Yeah, it's
We beat Florida.
yeah.
That's tough. That's tough to beat
Kettle
Florida.
Love, Melissa Balmer, Kettle
No.
Love, I'm on her email list. And she's, I was sort of on the other side of that coin, right? Honey and vinegar. And she has this campaign for storytelling for each of us, those of us who ride bikes. You know how that's a big deal right now in marketing is storytelling and selling your brand's story, right? And so, right, in our spare time, perhaps somebody could do some videos of, my name's Bill and I'm a bike commuter and I do this and I do that, to personalize to those morons in their 3,500 pickup trucks that, hey, I'm somebody's mom.
You talking about your husband?
Your neighbor. What?
You talking about your husband just now?
I was trying to, at the 20th Street meeting, I was trying to be very soft and conversational, but also challenging myself to walk up to people that were looking at the plans and say, what do you think about this? And there was one guy there who was vehement. I actually couldn't believe this, so I kind of spec'd out a sequence of questions to escalate the starting off very soft. And I got to the point where he had to deploy my because he was militant that roads are for cars, there's no one rides bicycles. And then I said, well, even if 1% of people ride bikes, how do you feel about ADA ramps? Should we put in wheelchair accessible ramps? Not many people need them, but should we and he said, no, I think it's ridiculous. What? It's not my problem. And I was like, okay, we're never going to get through to you.
That guy you just stopped talking to.
Yeah, but most other people sort of.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
And also to educate business owners that bicyclists indeed are good for business. They shop more frequently, they spend more per capita, they take less from your infrastructure, you can park more of them.
You get more, isn't there? Okay, third and fifth, we know the struggles here. I've been working with now Councilwoman Pastor's office pretty close and her chief of staff. We sent them the cross sections that the Street Transportation Department still has on our website, showing how the plan can work south of Roosevelt. Pastor is, I guess, apparently in China right now. When she gets back in town, they're supposed to have an on-the-street meeting with Streets Transportation and Azteca and show them why they can't do it. And given the information they have, shown the cross-section where they said they could.
So the latest argument, of course, is that the curb is too tall. It's a 6 or 8 or 12-inch curb, and I've got a cross section to solve that. It's a 6-foot curb bike lane, 4.5-foot opposite direction, 2-foot buffer.
When you say 6 foot, are you including the gutter pan?
Well, yeah, because the
So 4.5 foot.
4.5 northbound,
Ashton says you
4.5
do not include the
southbound.
gutter pan in
I'm talking about a curb to curb dimension. So it's a 4.5-foot northbound lane, a 4.5-foot southbound lane, 1.5 feet for the gutter pan, a 2-foot buffer, and 2 11-foot travel lanes, and that adds up to 35 feet. So
I think they got 36 there, right? Or was it 35?
35. So I mean, this will fit. There are no driveways from Roosevelt to McKinley. The one driveway is going to be closed by the developer when he goes to build that corner. So there is absolutely no reason that anybody can come up with to not have a 2-way cycle track on the east side of the street from Roosevelt down to McKinley. None. Zero. And if you take that down to Fillmore, where the 4-way stop kind of exists, there's 3 driveways, at least one of which will be closed, and 2 are very inactive. One's a vacant building, and the other one is Aspetia, the union for the city. So what is the problem? And why is Aztec, whose fucking guy almost ran me over yesterday, speeding to the meeting for Oak Street RFP, that fucking asshole.
This is a hard conversation to have without the actual site plans.
Yeah.
Could you bring them next time?
Sure, I can bring them tomorrow if you want to meet tomorrow. I'll show you.
So,
Right, so then,
Well, I can meet with you tomorrow. I mean, it's
and then I ran into one of the mayor's staff and asked about getting his here, and she said you won't because obviously he's leaving, and recommended reaching out to now Vice Mayor Williams. So I'll give her office a call next week, try to get a meeting with her in the next few days, and just try to get one more council member on our side to really push STD and Azteca to do this the way they should do it.
bring a girl in.
Yes, yeah, she specifically said that. Yeah, that day we're going to reach out to you, and you're also a Willow resident. Real brief too, Laura and I were at the Willow, and that was received extremely well. I wouldn't say unanimous, but close.
Yeah, that's true, but I do think there are very few bicyclists in Willow, and if push comes to shove, bicycles will be no more prioritized.
Yeah, I think their party,
Sidewalks are the big issue.
yeah, I think their party came more from getting cars out than putting bikes in.
Yes. So.
But they did, I like the idea of taking a lane of traffic out.
Absolutely, but it's not a slam dunk.
Okay.
Yeah, so getting bikes out means making the bike lane bigger and protected and buffered and adding a, I mean, I don't know why they didn't go for the inside jogging track, but there's a Willow neighborhood plan that shows an inside circulating walkway west on the west side of 3rd Avenue, the east side of 5th Avenue, and you know, it's pretty neat.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna keep
Yep.
pushing as much as we can and then try to get as much support from the council that'll help. And you know, t-shirts, quick.
Real quick, I know you want to move to t-shirts, but
I just want to move through.
So I had two, and I brought up the complete streets, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought,
The timeline for that is within a month, but the other one is within a week and a half. So April 4th, this past Wednesday, we all know the South Central Extension, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is going in.
Yeah.
Light rail.
Yeah, light rail from downtown to the mountain.
Basically.
Yeah, almost. There was a citizens petition submitted on Wednesday, essentially trying to kill it. What the current design is, and they're in the throes of design, right? They've been here for a long time. Is light rail, and then one lane of vehicular traffic on each side, and then one bike lane on each side. So we'll call that the 2-car lane design. That's what they've been for a long time. Everyone thought this was settled about a year ago. A citizens petition was submitted this past Wednesday to saying that the city council needs to change that to a 4-car lane design. What that will end up doing, if it was passed, what that would end up doing, potentially would kill the entire project. Because the entire environmental assessments have already been done. It would blow the cost, it would blow simply the design budget out of the water, as well as if we were to actually, that's just to analyze a 4-lane solution. If they were to say that we had to do a 4-lane solution, that would actually require a lot of land acquisition and building teardowns on both sides, both destroying the neighborhoods and skyrocketing the cost of the project. The project might die.
Does that go into District 6 down in Nawatuki?
No, just the mountain.
It's
Just the north side of the mountain.
7 and 8. It's Nowakowski and Gallego.
So to bring this to a bike focus, because I know the mission here is bikes. If we were to go to a 4-car lane design, there's no bike lanes, right? You lose the bike lanes. So there's only bike lanes if we have a 2-car lane design. So you look at how the map is laid out. Stanton and Gallego will vote to reject this petition. Waring, DeCiccio will vote, and Nowakowski will vote to accept the petition. So you've got 4 more people that you've got to get 3 votes out of.
Yeah, it smells very DeCiccio because he's been trying to kill light.
Yeah, he
for a
has.
long time.
He has. People don't think he's actually up to it, but he could be. But this is something that there needs to be on April 4th. This whole thing has been designed. So on April 4th, when the council votes, there's going to be an army of people saying to kill the rail or go to 4 lanes. And
Is
there
it
needs,
the regular council meeting on Wednesday?
and there needs to be a counter army. I mean, at the very least, especially because I know Pastor respects PSP. At the very least, you all need to try to make sure that she's on the right side of that. And if you have other connections, other council people, that would also work. That would also be wonderful. But that's really urgent right now because that's putting the whole thing at risk.
What's the implications of the exception or rejection of the petition?
If they accept the petition, they're accepting that staff needs to go study 4 lanes.
Oh, wow.
Project could die, bike lanes are gone.
Okay.
If they reject the petition, they're saying, no, we're going to stick with what we've been doing, which is a 2-lane car solution with bike lanes flanking.
Totally blow up the whole budget and timeline for the entire project.
Yep.
Anyway.
You can argue with just CC is all about getting rid of government waste. I don't see what's more wasteful than doing.
Right.
DOT.
Starting over.
He thinks the least waste would just be not to put in the train.
Sure. Did Urban Phoenix Project already write this up
We have
somewhere?
we have a meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
You
Because
said that meeting was April 4th.
Yep.
Yeah.
City Council is Wednesday at 2:30, 3:30? 3:30, I think, somewhere in
I
there.
don't know when they take citizen petitions, but it's the front or the back of the agenda. I'm assuming it's the back.
when we do the social media posts, I see no problem with us sharing those. That's one quick way to get them out, right?
And there is a Downtown Devil article about this, so you can have some content ready-made for you right there.
Send me a link, piece of pen.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, I know we'll-
Sorry for all the bad news.
No,
No,
but
that's good.
maybe we do a couple of quick letters too. We draft up this week.
I had a vacation for a week. It was nice. Back to the relentless.
Real quick t-shirts. Found a potential new vendor, Phoenix Bicycle Company. Good quality, potentially cheap. Well, we can kind of shake that out through Slack. Staying Alive, we need to do another one.
Well, no, so here's my quick
Oh.
but we're staying alive. So our Stay in Alive ride was a big thing we tried to do last year that didn't really come to anything. We technically did it, and it was taking money we have and using it to just buy bike lights and then just giving them to people. And going out on a Stay in Alive ride and just hunting down people who are riding at night without lights and just being like, we're putting them on your bike now. You don't really get to complain about it. The problem, so they did that. We did it in conjunction with this down tempo Monday
Hey,
night
Christmas
ride.
Day.
Yeah, it was Christmas, wasn't it? Of course. They said it was okay, but the thing they went through like 20 or 30 lights really quickly in the park. Val, who was a good friend who was doing it, said she was pretty sure that everyone is either going to just give them to someone else or sell them for drugs or throw them away, you know. So I think we probably need to switch to a position of turning up with an electric screwdriver and actually being like,
Oh, we didn't get the ones with
Battery.
the silicone ones that just wrap around.
I think they're screw-on the ones we have currently.
They may not have. Okay.
But I still love the idea, and what I would like to propose is we just, and it's a shame John's gone because we needed a budget, but I think it would be nice to buy them and to just designate people to have them on them, lights that we bought, and just keep going to down tempos. And bike valets seems like another crazy one where it's like, oh, if someone tries to check a bike, just be like, hey, do you have lights? No? Okay, we'll put some on, and when you take it out.
You get a PSP logo and website on the light.
Well, that would be perfect, and if failing that, I think it would be nice to have a card and just plain guilt people into it, and just be like, we're giving you lights for free, they cost us 10, 8, 15 bucks, whatever it is, and literally just be upfront and say, here's the cost of the lights, here's a Venmo, if you can send us the money, that's cool, if not.
And we do need to get some images of us doing this light because Planet Bike sold to them at steeply discounted, probably close to cost. So they
owe it to them.
Well, it's to them to help them promote. Hey, look, we did this for this organization, and they were also going to share our stuff, so that would get exposure for us. So we still need to find a way to maybe get some.
Well, there was the one photo of the lights in the box, and there's nothing wrong with posting that.
Right, but I think we need more on the street. But let's kind of, again, we can check that out in Slack too, since we're running over schedule.
If it's okay, this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the lights off Val, and then Suzanne, I guess since you're bike subcommittee person now, I will send you a list of people, and I'm just going to give them 10 lights each and say, send me like me and Val and some of the people on the Monday night ride, and just say keep these on you, and if you see someone without a light, make sure you like put it on their bike with a screwdriver and take a photo of them.
Yeah.
To at least get them out there, you know, because they're just sitting in a box and it's killing me.
Yes.
Adopt the Street, let's just table that.
Yeah.
Bike Valley, you want to talk about Bike Valley real quick?
Yeah, we desperately need to get some actual claim checks made with PSP branding on.
Yeah, we've got funding, so we just need to do it.
At the moment, Suzanne is. Did you get anywhere finding out Valley Metro where
Yes,
they
I
get
asked
this?
my boss, she said she would have to do some research to find out where we had ours made. But Valley Metro did have more claim tickets made, so if you need them, we have more available.
Cool.
Didn't we reach out to T-Bag too? on that?
Yeah, so Steph at T-Bag is currently, unless she's messaged me in the last 30 minutes, as of last week, she's desperately trying to figure out, because they've run out too.
Okay.
So,
Loan you some.
So that's entertaining.
Okay.
And then there's the two on the American Festival coming up, and then Lost Lake confirmed they're going for their second year. So if you
That was a good one. wasn't it?
yeah, Lost Lake was like 300 bikes a day. Yeah.
That helps so much to get the volunteers.
Yes. Yes.
And Dave killed it on that. Thanks, Dave, for all that. That was a lot of coordination.
Yeah,
And
holy
he
cow.
wrote a program in
Yeah.
April 28th. We don't have a we don't have a bike fun event that day, so good.
American's like 4 hours, probably, I don't know, 1,500 bikes. Something like that.
If you can, do you want me to try to get that staff, Dave? I will be out of town that day.
No, I mean, with regard to these, you know, I have the most experience doing the valets, I think, now with you, so I'm happy to do valet under your,
Okay.
like,
Okay. We'll work together.
So, Sean, you get us some little bit of info about this, some talking points and that kind of thing. Joe, you've got some budget hearing talking points.
Oh, yeah.
We'll come up next couple of days over Slack. We'll come up with a plan to address this petition, or direct the petition. Maybe a couple of quick letters to council people that we think would possibly sway. Just they seem to respond to the letters. May not always act on, but at least we know they see them. They usually respond to them. Like I said, I will follow up with Vice Mayor Williams this week, see if we can get a meeting with her, and definitely bring Laura with. And any other action items off the top of anybody's head real quick?
Dave, will you have time to create Facebook events for the budget hearings, or do you want me to try to?
yes, but still pending talking points from Joe.
Well, we know we want to create the events, and Joe, we call that guy Joe. He's going to give us some talking points for recreating the events.
I was about to create them, and I was like, this is ridiculous. If I go and create 15 budget hearing events and then have to go
Back and
through
edit 'em.
Yeah.
next week and add 15 talk. Plus, I figure when people get to see the events go live, it would be nice to be like, did you know that
Yes, you're absolutely right.
light rail is about to lose bike lanes?
So it might be the only. Well, I mean, that vote would happen before any of the meetings, I think, or any of the budget hearings. I think the first budget hearing is,
The 9th, I think.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
or maybe it's the first budget hearing is the third, but still, it's two.
Oh,
Oh, I think it's considered that's the other one, right? That's the one.
Crooked Blue Streets, yeah, that's
Right.
D-Day for that's going to be middle of April.
and you said you're going to CTC Thursday?
I'm gonna try. Yeah.
I'll be out of town, so.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Anything else for the good of the order? All right.
Please take some Valley Mike Month printed propaganda and share it at your workplace. Yay!
Oh, wait, one more thing. Gil Peñalosa from Bogota, Colombia is going to be here on Saturday, April 7th. I forwarded it out to some of you already, maybe, I don't know. But Saturday, April 7th at 521 South 3rd Street between Lincoln and Buchanan. There should be a street closure where we're going to do hopefully some
You can go check
tactical
out,
urbanism.
check out UPP's events. We made an event for it. There's an event right through that you can sign up to.
Did you guys
He's
talk about that?
he's a
Thank you very much.
he's worth seeing.
Thank you very much. And now, you know what I get to do is here shortly the worst thing you can possibly do on a Saturday. Take my dad grocery shopping at Walmart.
Beers at the Whining Pig.
But I really didn't want to do it Thursday night when he said he'd go to the store, so.